Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Kouryer Podcast. This is episode 199th of Kouryer Podcast. We're doing the episodes again after about 3 months. And our today's guest is Miss Marby Kwong. She's a senior concept artist at Blizzard based in Irvine, United States. Now, of course, before we go into the signature questions and everything we usually ask on the podcast, let me quickly mention that in the for contact section you can find the ID to her Instagram account, the links to her Twitter, ArtStation, and LinkedIn. She's mostly active on Twitter, so if you want to interact with her or give her a question or something, Twitter is probably the best place. And with that out of the way, let's just quickly jump into the first signature question of the podcast, which is give us a little introduction on how you got into the world of visual arts and design. Basically, tell us the story of, how you, basically became an artist.
Sure. Hello. So I started off I was really into art as a kid. I was basically drawing since a baby. And I think I have Asian parents, so they really wanted me to be a doctor, all that stuff. They're first generation immigrants and they really wanted me to succeed. So they were like, don't follow art, you're not going to make any money from that. But I didn't listen, obviously. And I just kept drawing and drawing and drawing. I remember I got really into Jurassic Park as a kid, so I was drawing dinosaurs. That was my thing. But I started playing PlayStation 1 when I was about 10 or 11. And I played this Japanese RPG called Wild Arms back then, and it's got a really cool animated intro. I hadn't seen anything like this back then before. I'd only seen Disney animation, but this was something way cooler. It was kind of more mature and anime style. So after that, I got really into anime. I just used to just draw a lot, online and everything. There were these boards back then called oikaki boards, and it's kind of like a message board, but you have to draw a picture and attach it with your message. So I was just drawing on these things with a bunch of random strangers back then, and I think that got me into digital art kind of early. Yeah.
All right. And were you originally studying art and design, or you were pursuing another career path? When you were in your high school years, and those are usually important years where you decide a lot of, you have to make a lot of important decisions. But how was it for you? Were you studying, were you focused on studying art from the early on, or there were different plans for you?
Um. So as a kid, I actually really wanted to be an archaeologist because I was crazy about dinosaurs. I think that probably don't earn a lot of money from archaeology either, so I'm a huge disappointment to my parents. But I pretty much kind of knew that I'd probably be doing something arty. There weren't any game, specifically game art, courses back then in schools. So I remember I took art and design, and I was thinking of taking animation in my second year of art college. I was around 16 at the time. So I'm from the UK, and in the UK you can choose to leave secondary school early for college if you wanted to focus your studies. So I went to Bournemouth School. Wait, no, it was called AIB back then. So it was Arts Institute of Bournemouth. But yeah, like I said, they didn't really offer any game design or kind of game art, concept art kind of courses. So it wasn't that useful. I think the most useful thing about it was probably life drawing. That was a really good opportunity to actually do life drawing for the first time. That helped a lot. But everything else I learned was really random stuff like printmaking and I don't know, screen printing and just really, it was fun, but it was just really random stuff that wouldn't really help me now. And I didn't think they really helped me with my fundamentals in drawing either. So that was kind of disheartening. And I actually dropped out after a couple of years doing that because I was like, oh, I don't feel like I'm learning anything. And I don't know, all the other people in the course, I think art wasn't seen as a serious thing in the UK. you'd kind of take up an art course if like you didn't really have any other options. So a lot of the people kind of just weren't taking art very seriously. So it was really kind of disheartening going to this art college and just feeling like we weren't like getting anywhere. We weren't learning anything with our time. Yeah, after that, I was pretty much self-taught. I just like looked at tutorials. I used to read Imagine FX, the magazine, and kind of just be like, wow, Photoshop. How do I use this program? Kind of, yeah, just trying trial and error, I guess.
All right. And well, in the introduction, I mentioned you're a senior concept artist, but I want to ask you, I want to go a little bit more specific. What is your main branch of design that you're focusing on? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now, which is, of course, basically what area of concept art you're working in, and the whole thing.
So I guess I actually started off doing characters just for fun. This was like my own personal art, but I only draw the one kind of character. Pretty much, like I don't have very good anatomy knowledge. Like I wouldn't know what names of what muscles and that kind of thing. So yeah, I just enjoyed drawing characters, but it wasn't really like something that I really pushed myself in. I actually am an environment concept artist at Blizzard, so like I design a lot of buildings and like POIs, like structures and landscapes, that kind of thing. And like plants sometimes, but we have like specific character artists that design like characters and monsters. Yeah. So right now, yeah, I'm specifically doing environment, and I actually really enjoy it as well. Like I find it really rewarding because I feel like environment really tells a story. Like yeah, just with visuals, I think you can do a lot of storytelling with just environment art.
All right, good. And how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a new project? Like, basically, what does the structure of your pipeline look like?
Okay, I don't really have a formal process or anything. I swear it's like different every time I try and draw something, but usually I have an idea in my head. Like I really try and nail down an idea first because I feel like, especially doing concept, I feel like the design has to be cool. It can't like it doesn't need to be a generic thing, right? Like if you're designing a sword, you could do the generic medieval sword, or you could design something like really cool. So to me, I kind of think about the design before I even start sketching anything first. And then like usually I'll do like usually a bunch of sketches. If it's for work, then I usually do thumbnails and sketches. If it's just for me, sometimes I have like the image in my head already, so I can just like go and just do the one take on it. And then if it's quite complicated, sometimes I'll go into 3D Coat or Blender and kind of model some things out just because it makes it really nice for like moving things around and, like experimenting a little bit more. Like you can be like, oh, what color should this be? And you just change out material. It like makes it so simple. Same with the lighting and everything. Like sometimes it's just kind of nicer to just not have to think about that and just be like, I'm just going to explore and see what looks good at like in real time. But yeah, that's kind of my, my process. That is very was a very trial and error.
All right. And with that being said, what was the first art job paycheck you ever got? What was it for? And, when was it? Tell us all the story of that. I really like, those questions as well.
Hmm. So my first job was actually at Electronic Arts. It was a studio in London. They'd just been bought up by EA, and yeah, I was 21 at the time, and I managed to get a job there. And I remember getting that paycheck, and I was like, "Oh my god, I got paid to do." like art. Like that's amazing. Like I've always dreamed of this. This is like so freaking cool. Um, so yeah, I guess it was around that time. Back then, I think the salary was. It was, I mean, this is like a long time ago. It's pretty low now, but I think I got offered. I think it was 26,000 for a full time. That was like an annual salary. Um, yeah, that was a big deal to me at the time, especially since I'd been like the only work experience I had before that was probably retail to like pay the bills. Yeah, that was the first time I was like, wow, you can make money from doing concept art. Like especially back then, I think if I'd been born a bit later, I probably would have done commissions or something. But I think that wasn't really a thing so much back then, or at least I wasn't on like the right platforms to do it. So yeah.
All right. And who are some of your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
Okay. I have a lot. um, I'll say some like generic games that I'm really into, like visually first, I guess. I'm really into Bloodborne and like the Souls games and Elden Ring. I feel like they're like absolutely beautiful and like they look so good. That's like the standard for me. I'm obviously also really into Ghibli movies, like especially the Hayao Miyazaki ones. Um, and for actual artists, I'm really into Vasily Zorin, Min Yum. I think he's also known as Bumsky. Carolyn Lim, Claire Wendling's amazing. Wesbert. Oh, and Satoshi Matsura. He does like these amazing like characters, but he thinks about the silhouette, kind of like Mike Mignola kind of style. But they're like really graphic and really simple. Yeah, I've got like a card game by him and like his art book. His stuff is, I don't know, it blows my mind. It's so good.
All right. By the way, is it Ghibli or Ghibli?
So I think in Japan they actually pronounce it Ghibli, but they said I remember them saying it's okay to pronounce it Ghibli as well. I think they actually, I think it's related to something in planes, and Ghibli was an Italian like maybe like a plane manufacturer or like a brand of like plane engine. It was like something really obscure like that, and that was how they got the name because Hayao Miyazaki is really into planes, right? So I think that's actually where they got the name Ghibli from. But because of the Japanese pronunciation, they've always been calling it Ghibli. So it's like honestly, both is fine. I think.
Interesting. Now, here's another thing. A couple of things now. I want to ask you some general questions. First of all, how has the your experience been working with Blizzard? Because that's, I think, like one of the meccas of with all the artists around the world, like one of those big companies that everyone wants to work with. But and of course, a lot of people who click on this video want to know about that as well, who are interested as artists. So tell us the whole experience.
Sure. So every team on Blizzard has their own culture, and they're all very different to each other. I've only been on two teams. I've been on Team Two, which is World of Warcraft. So I was working on WoW stuff for a while, and now I'm on a secret team. It's officially been released as the unannounced survival game, but both have honestly been really good experiences. Like I feel like I learn a lot at work, and I'm like not just saying that because like I'm on like on a podcast and I work there. Like I genuinely feel like the teams that I've had like the privilege to work with have been really good in supporting me. Like I'd say this is like a career high, and it's like this sounds really sappy because like um yeah, I've like worked at a bunch of places, but honestly, like the I really like the culture in my current team, and like everyone's just I don't know, like if I don't like I'm quite introvert, so if I don't say anything in a meeting, they'll be like, Marby, what's your opinion on this? Like they actually ask for my opinion and stuff, which feels really good, honestly. yeah, yeah, they're nice folks.
Yeah, it's always important to feel comfortable, in your shell in social situations, especially in work environments. So I think that's
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
good point. And another thing I wanted to ask you about is how has working at Blizzard changed your productivity day to day methods, and your life,
Okay.
compared to previous, your previous jobs.
So I feel like my work is so mentally taxing now. Like I really concentrate and like in my previous companies, I used to like I don't know, kind of browse Twitter, browse Facebook, and kind of just be like, "This is easy enough. Like I don't have to try that hard." But this one, I actually have to try pretty hard. So mentally, it's kind of draining, but I feel like I'm learning a lot, and I really enjoy the work. Um, it just means that I haven't touched personal art in like a year or two. Like yeah, I've just been focusing so much in my like 9 to 5 job that like when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make some like personal art this weekend, I'm just like creatively dead. Yeah.
And speaking of Blizzard, have you, when you were like younger, have you enjoyed any of their games? Because it
Um,
must be surreal, playing their games, then suddenly going to working with them.
yeah, I actually really wish I played classic WoW back in the day, but because my parents were kind of so against me playing video games, I never got the subscription. But I remember going into the game shop and going like, "Ooh, this is so cool! Like, look at this elf lady on the front. This is so cool!" And I'm like reading the back of the box, like, "Ah, yeah, this looks like something that I'd play." Like, I think my first Blizzard game might be, oh god, maybe Hearthstone, maybe, or Heroes of the Storm. I got really into Heroes of the Storm. Like I played that game so much. It was really fun. And then when Overwatch came out, I was like, actually, this company is really cool. It's like they're making like all these new genres of games that like because I play a bunch of different genres as well. So like I was like, oh yeah, this is actually really fun. I enjoy the gameplay that they come up with. But yeah, I kind of wish I played WoW back in the day because then I'd have the nostalgia of like childhood dream job kind of thing. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't.
All right. Yeah, actually, I remember when I was, I think 10 years old. I think that was the first time I played Classic WoW, and it was. I don't know. That's how you should design a game to make it kind of addictive. I mean, that sounds kind of bad in hindsight, but I mean, when you make the gameplay loop so fun that it becomes, it consumes a lot of your time, they probably done a good job. Like I
Yeah,
still
I think.
remember. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh no, you're gone.
All right. Like I remember my first, I think, hero that I made was a Tauren. I think, is that how you pronounce it? Tauren? That
Yeah,
cow thing is.
Torin.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was a Tauren hunter, and it was. I remember at some guy I had to pay like a little bit of money to some guy in a game net cafe for him to make me an official account. And I only played for 10 minutes, and I was hooked. And because my dad later on came out and picked us up, so I had to, I bought it. I bought the game. I ordered it online. It was 5,000 2 months at the time, because I'm from Iran. And yeah, my mom kind of yelled at me for a while. Why did you order this online? Because for the time it was a lot. Yeah, but I had a lot of fun memories of it, and I think that was one of the heroes I remember I played a lot. And there was a gnome mage I played a lot. Yeah, that as well.
Oh, cute. I love the
Yeah,
nose. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm kind of playing it like now and kind of trying to make up for lost time. But it's not the same, I guess. Playing classic now, I'm just like, God, this game is so hard. Like, I'm getting my butt kicked. Like the XP grind is like so like slow. Yeah, I feel like I don't have the patience for that kind of gaming anymore. Really.
Yeah, you have an adult brain now, fully developed adult brain, just like me. We kind of, I guess, in a sense, get bored easily now. Like, not get bored. It's much harder to get into that like mood of high, intense rush of entertainment.
Yeah, yeah. You just want like instant gratification now. You're just like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I said was just a fancy way of saying we're turning into boring adults. But yeah, that's just
It's
much.
true.
Oh god. All right. So another thing, last thing about Blizzard. Any advice and tips for a good portfolio and resume for an
Okay.
artist?
Let me think. Every team is completely different at Blizzard, and I don't really think the recruiters, like if a recruiter finds you for one project and they like your work for that, it's very rare that recruiter works for another game project at Blizzard. So if there's like a specific game you want to work on, then I'd recommend just keep trying for it. And if you're not fussed which game project you like work on, if you like a bunch of them and you just like want to work at Blizzard, I'd say like try for all of them because you'll probably be dealing with like a bunch of different recruiters. It wouldn't. It's very rarely the same one. Yeah, yeah. Like I think like they have like a couple of like seniors that would lead the recruiting team, but the teams are like so big that yeah, if even if you get a rejection, like keep trying. Like it's usually just down to luck, you know. Like yeah, just keep trying to get in. And for portfolio advice, I'd say remove any work that you feel doesn't help with your overall like portfolio at first glance. Like if you have pages and pages and pages of work, like I don't know, like if like say they open your art station and there's like 40 pieces on there, but like 20 of them are from like 10 years ago and they're like I don't know, student work or like life drawing scribbles and stuff. It's not stuff that like that you're proud of, then I feel like it lowers the overall quality of your portfolio. So you should really kind of pick and choose your best and present it that way. Usually, I'd recommend like probably 10 to 20 pieces that you're really proud of that are really strong. And yeah, yeah, like try not to put like rough sketches and stuff that are not like that might lower the overall quality of your portfolio.
All right. And what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? I mean, of course, if it's like something NDA, we can skip right past this question so quick. But
Yeah, I'm
if
afraid
there's
it's
any,
super NDA.
and all right, we skip right now. All right. So the next question is, what area beside the area you're working on right now, which is of course in the art, discipline, would you be interested to explore and learn in the future later on? Like other hobbies and aspirations. I think you also have a profile Instagram for skating, I guess.
Yeah, I'm so bad at it. And I've kind of stopped for a while because well, I got a dog, so yeah, that's been my like my main distraction right now. Um, yeah, I would love to get really good at roller skating. I find it really aspirational when people can do like spinning and like jamming and stuff. I'm like, wow, that looks so cool. I'd love to be able to do that. And like, this is from someone with like two left feet who absolutely hates dancing at like the club and stuff. Like, I absolutely hate that stuff. But like doing it on roller skates, it looks cool. Like, I would totally do that. So yeah, roller skating is up there. I'd love to do pottery and sculpting. Like I follow a lot of sculptors who do really cool figurine stuff, and they're all using like real super sculpey and clay and stuff. Like it's not just digital sculpting, though. Like that's obviously really cool too. But it's nice to have something tangible. I think, like I guess with digital you can do 3D printing, which is super cool. But yeah, I would love to just have like a piece of art that I can like carry around. It's not just like a digital painting print out.
Yeah. Well. We've reached a final question and section of the podcast, which is called Time Capsule. Basically, here's how it goes. imagine we're doing a voice recording for a time capsule that's going to be kept somewhere, yeah, and people in at any point of time in future, with me, 10 months, 10 years, 100 years might listen. So potentially a lot of people. So what does Marby Kwong has to say to all those folks?
Okay. Hit Control S often, save your work, and try and back up your work on the cloud or on like a removable hard drive or like anything. Because one of my biggest regrets is not doing that for my older work. So I actually don't own anything before 2015, which is like, I don't know, it feels like that's like years and years and years of art gone. Like it probably wasn't very good, and like I wouldn't even look at it now. But it's just kind of sad that like it's because like obviously art is a journey, so that would have been the beginning of my journey, just like wiped clean from all records, and that's like a little bit sad because it's nice to compare and see like how far you've gone sometimes. But yeah, save your work. Also, it absolutely sucks to have your hard drive break on you and lose everything, like all your PSDs and stuff. So it's good
Yeah.
practice. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, in a nutshell, try to document your journey, and I've been actually doing that for everything, for a couple of years now. And I even documented my whole 3D journey on a private Telegram channel for myself. And because when you post on Telegram, it already has a date and time and everything, and I made it like a whole system for myself, so it's really nice, and it's all on cloud, and it's free. I'm not sponsored, by the way, but yeah. Well, thank you so much. Where can people contact you, if they had any questions? This is your Twitter, as I mentioned earlier on. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Twitter's good. Or our station mail, just like I don't know. Anyway, like I'll probably see it.
All right. All right. Well, that's about it, folks. Thank you so much, Miss Marby Kwong, for joining me on this episode. And thank you to anyone who tuned in and listened or watched this episode on YouTube. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, we're getting back on uploading the podcast. My schedule will be as regularly active as before, but I'll do my best to upload once a month or twice a month. I don't know. Who knows? It's just very sporadic. And with that being said, take care, everyone. Stay safe, and see you in episode 200, the end of this season of podcast, I guess. Yeah. All right. Take care. Bye bye.